In Australia, we acknowledge the lands of the traditional custodians across the country. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their continuing connection to land, water and sky. We acknowledge the hundreds of different nations across the country, from the Bardi of Western Australia, the Larrakia in the top end, the Miriam-Mer in the north of the Torres Straits, to the Yuin in the east coast, and the Nyinoni in the south, and all of the language groups in between. We pay our deep respects to the wisdom keepers of the past, to the knowledge holders and seekers of today, and our future custodians.
We also recognise Māori as tino rangatiratanga of Aotearoa, New Zealand. We acknowledge their unique role as tangata whenua and embrace te tiriti o waitangi, including the three guiding principles of partnership, participation and protection. E te hui, whai a te mātauranga kia mārama, kia whai take ngā mahi katoa, tū maia, tū kaha, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou ia tātou katoa.
Across Australia and New Zealand, we continue connection to the earth and are nurtured by these lands we call home.
Hello and welcome to the AWS Summit Australia and New Zealand. This is one of my favourite weeks of the year. I'm thrilled to see tens of thousands of people joining us online today to be inspired, to learn and to connect with our growing Australia and New Zealand cloud community. This year's program is built around the theme of acceleration and we're excited to welcome you to our virtual campus. There's nothing I love more than sharing the inspiring stories and learnings from our customers. Over the next 2 days, you'll hear from organisations such as Commonwealth Bank, Nestle, Kayo Sports, Woodside, Ceratag and Precigen that are using AWS to transform and innovate at a rapid pace. Let me start by thanking our sponsors. Along with making this event possible, they're out there delivering fantastic outcomes for our customers. So too is our thriving community of partners selling through the AWS Marketplace and building successful local businesses that employ many Australian and New Zealanders. I'd also like to acknowledge our global group of developers, our AWS heroes and our supportive user groups that are also sharing their expertise broadly to benefit us all. Our community has continued to grow and drive innovation since we opened our local offices 10 years ago. Over this time, our vision has remained the same, for Australia and New Zealand to be leaders in the global digital economy. In the past decade, Amazon has invested more than $3 billion in Australia and New Zealand, in infrastructure and in our local workforce of more than 3,500 people. Last year, we announced we'll continue to invest, opening a second infrastructure region in Australia in the second half of 2022. The new AWS Melbourne region will help us better service our customers and create more jobs, including new data centre operators and technical engineers. We also deepened our investments in New Zealand, opening new offices in Wellington and Auckland, and announcing our first AWS Edge location in Auckland to provide local customers with up to 50% lower latency. Today, AWS has hundreds of thousands of active customers using our local infrastructure each month. And every day, I continue to be inspired by the hard work and innovation of our customers and our partners and the positive impact they are making globally. Much of that work has been done by startups who have built innovative new solutions on our technology. In the last year, Amazon provided $1 billion in AWS credits to startups through our Activate program to help them accelerate their businesses in a time when they needed it most. One graduate from the Activate program is Kiwi-born artificial intelligence specialist Soul Machines, who created the World Health Organization's first digital health worker named Florence. Florence provides information to dispel damaging myths around COVID-19. In the past year, we've seen many new demands placed on our customers. Some customers have experienced significant disruption, while others have experienced growth demands never previously seen before. We've also seen customers embrace technology like Amazon Connect to manage increased call volumes by staff in virtual locations. In the height of the pandemic, Origin Energy pivoted all teams to work remotely in just 48 hours. In 3 weeks, Origin had its entire 1,200-seat call centre working remotely with minimal disruption to its customers. To further accelerate their digital transformation, Origin last year announced it selected AWS as the preferred cloud provider to support the company's move to close all data centres by the end of the year. 2021 is the year of data and analytics as business executives look to tap into their resources to deliver efficiency, unlock experimentation, and enable expansion. Flybuys, an Australian loyalty business, completed a wholesale migration to the cloud, moving 8.6 million active customer records to AWS. Working with partner Versant, Flybuys was able to cut down the migration time, cost, and staff resources required. Flybuys has now created a new data platform providing insights and measurement of their audience to marketers. These organisations differ by age, size, industry, and customer base. However, they share a common thread, a culture of innovation and skilled individuals who are trained in the cloud to make it happen. To understand the impact of digital skills to the growth of innovation across ANZ, we commissioned some research. In the next 5 years, each worker will require an average of 7 new digital skills to keep the pace of technological change. That's an increase of around 79% from the digital skills we have today. We are committed to working with government, industry, our customers and partners to address this challenge. We have already trained hundreds of thousands of Australian and New Zealanders with digital skills and have a goal of training more than 29 million people globally by 2025. We are reaching the next generation of workers who are still in schools today through our program AWS Educate. We are supporting digital skill development through tertiary programs with organisations including RMIT, TAFE New South Wales and the University of Auckland. And we're helping reskill and upskill people already at work through the creation of cloud guilds. For Qantas, the pandemic forced the closure of major air routes locally and internationally, impacting the duties of many operational staff such as pilots, cabin crew, and engineers. By launching Crew in the Cloud, a training and certification program with AWS, we are working with Qantas to equip staff members with new digital skills and career pathways as the travel industry recovers. Qantas is joined by Australia Post, Insurance Australia Group, Deloitte, Kmart, Telstra and Optus, who are training thousands of people with new digital skills. We know diversity in teams and leadership is a critical driver of innovation. And we know, unfortunately, that the IT industry suffers from a significant underrepresentation of women. We are committed to changing this. That's why I'm excited to announce that AWS is collaborating with global diversity, equity and inclusion organisation, the Dream Collective, to launch a new program called She Dares. This new online learning program aims to encourage women across Australia and New Zealand to consider a career in the tech industry and show them the employment pathways open to them. Our commitment to diversity and inclusion reflects our long-term view of our role and impact within society, one that is firmly based on taking meaningful actions today that deliver both immediate and future benefits. Amazon is also committed to and invested in sustainability because it's good for the planet, for business, for our customers and for our communities. In September 2019, we co-founded the Climate Pledge, which asks organisations to commit to achieving net zero carbon output by 2040, a decade ahead of the goals set in the Paris Agreement. We have a commitment to power our operations with 100% renewable energy by 2030, a goal we're on path to meet 5 years early by 2025, as we head towards eventual goal of net zero carbon emissions across our entire business by 2040. To achieve this locally, we've announced 3 renewable projects in Australia in the last 18 months. The Gunnedah Solar Farm and Suntop Solar Farm in New South Wales and the Hawkestail Wind Farm in Victoria. As the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform provider, we believe it's vital that the growth of our cloud is delivered in the most sustainable way. If there is one thing I would hope you take away from the next few days, it's to give yourself permission to experiment. The cloud makes the barriers of getting started surprisingly low, but can yield incredible results. Through our collaboration with customers, we can achieve real impact, whether they are challenges you face in your organisation, your community, or globally. And we look forward to solving those challenges even faster in the future. So let's accelerate. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, AWS's Senior Vice President of Global Infrastructure, Peter DeSantis.
Hello. I know we are all very much looking forward to a time when we can gather safely again. And I'm optimistic that time is coming soon. But for now, I'm excited to be here virtually in Seattle, Washington, with our audiences around the globe. Around the world, we've all experienced rapid change and new challenges this past year. When faced with unprecedented disruption and challenges, it's critical that your business has the flexibility to adjust quickly. For example, over the last year, our customers like Zoom and Netflix were able to quickly adapt to unprecedented global demand changes. An important part of helping customers to respond to these uncertain times was the elasticity of our services. Customers have asked us how we responded to the pandemic and to make sure that our customers could scale and respond to changes in their business. Like everyone, we had to adjust to lots of challenges on the fly. But the elasticity of AWS services is something that we have been building since day one. In fact, it goes all the way back to our original EC2 tenants. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a tenant? Well, let me explain. A tenant is simply a principle or a belief. Tenants don't tell you what to do. They provide a guide to follow and give you the freedom to make the best choices for your customers. If you've ever found yourself in an endless series of meetings going around and around on a decision, it's probably a good sign that you did not have a shared set of tenets. Too often, people argue about path A or path B, going back and forth, and they don't realize the reason they're arguing is that they are not in alignment on the very fundamental assumptions that are driving their decision. Writing down your tenets is really valuable to get everyone in agreement on critical questions. When you have your tenets in hand, you don't need to rehash or debate your direction with every decision in every meeting. Now, when we launched Amazon EC2 back in 2006, we spent some time debating our tenets for the service. What were the most important things we needed to make EC2 a success? Getting aligned on these tenets would make it easier for us to subsequently make decisions on prioritization of specific roadmap items. I pulled out one of our early EC2 documents and had a look at our original tenets, and you can see them listed here. Now, these are punchy one-word summary of the tenets. Each tenet was actually laid out in a fair bit of detail, but for our purposes here, these one-word summaries will work. As you can see, the first two tenets are secure and reliable. Now, if you've spent any time with us, this should not come as a surprise. Everything for us starts with security. It's job one and the most important product tenet. And other than security, nothing is more important than the availability of our services. We had conviction on this since day one. It's why availability zones was one of the first features we launched. The other four tenets are around important product attributes. Elastic is an interesting one. It's pretty high on the list. And maybe that doesn't surprise you, because it is super important that customers are able to scale when they need to. After all, we thought it was pretty important. We named the service the Elastic Compute Cloud. Today, we think of elasticity as just another dimension of availability. It remains that important. And our focus on elasticity is a big part on why we were able to help so many customers respond to the sudden and unexpected changes in their business over the last year. You also see cost-effective up there. We knew that no matter how compelling our service, that price was one of the most important features to our customers. And that's why we've reduced prices 106 times since AWS was launched in 2006. And we relentlessly focus on lowering the cost of our infrastructure so that we have the cost structure to allow us to continue lowering prices. And of course, you see easy to use. The cloud's a new concept, and we knew that making it easy for users to get started and grow with the services would be fundamental to getting the adoption we want. The tenet that I really want to talk to you about today is flexible. At Amazon, even before we launched AWS, we had a very deeply held belief that telling developers that they must use a particular tool was a great way to slow them down and stifle innovation. Before I started working on EC2, I ran an engineering team that was responsible for many of our core Amazon technologies. Things like the software used to run our websites or the libraries used by our services to communicate with one another. And we supported multiple ways of doing each of these things. And even then, some team across the company was likely experimenting with something new. We didn't try to slow this down. Rather, it was encouraged. Not only did this approach lead to innovation, it made Amazon a better place for builders to build. Developers really want to have the flexibility to choose the tools that work best for their applications. And the AWS Cloud gives you the flexibility to build the way you want to meet the changing needs of your products and your customers. Today, we want to show you how this strongly held tenet that flexibility really matters has influenced what we've built. Now, this slide does a good job of showing our commitment to giving AWS customers the flexibility they need to invent. Whether you're talking about compute or storage or database or machine learning or developer tools or IoT, in every one of these categories, you get a lot more functionality and options with AWS than anywhere else. Today, we're going to cover how compute options give you the right tools for the jobs. But we're also going to look at how storage, analytics, machine learning services give you flexible options to get the most value out of your data. And we'll also look at how our hybrid solutions give you the flexibility to run your workloads wherever you need to. Let's start off by looking at compute. Compute's changed quite a bit since we launched EC2 15 years ago with a single instance type. Today, there are 3 major modes of compute, and a lot of options within each one of these modes. EC2 instances are the traditional way that people use compute on AWS. They remain a great option for many applications, particularly when workloads need all the resources of the server or require always-on computing or specialized compute capabilities. Containers provide smaller, more easily managed units of compute. They're great for building microservices. And event-based serverless computing provides another option when you don't want to or need to manage instances or containers at all. We believe that all 3 of these modes of compute are here to stay, and each is well-suited to certain types of tasks and applications. And taken together, they give you the flexibility to choose the right tool for the job. But it's more than just supporting each of these modes. To truly give customers flexibility, you need to support the most options within each of these areas. Let's look at instances. If you look at Amazon EC2, which provides computing capacity to support virtually any workload, we not only have the broadest array of instances, but we also have the most powerful instance capabilities. These are things like the fastest networking instances. We have 100 gigabits per second in most of our recent instances, and up to 400 gigabits per second in our P4DS instances. We have the largest high memory instances with up to 24 terabytes, which are great for SAP workloads. We have the largest local storage instances with our D3EN instances, providing up to 336 terabytes of local storage. We have the most powerful machine learning training instances with our P4DS instance types. And we have the most powerful machine learning inference instances with our Inferential-based Inf1 instances. We have the best price performance graphics instances with our G4 ADs. We support any operating system you want, including several variants of Linux and Windows. And we're the only cloud provider to give you an on-demand Mac OS instance type. And if we don't support the operating system you need, we're the only cloud that allows you to run any operating system on bare metal with all the capabilities and elasticity you expect from an instance. We're also the only provider that gives you the ability to run instances with Intel, AMD, and ARM processors. Now, that's a lot of flexibility to match your instance to your application needs. It's one thing to have a tenant that says you need to be flexible, but that's not enough. If you want to be able to deliver this sort of flexibility, you need to innovate. Let's look at two of the biggest innovations that are enabling flexibility for compute. The first innovation is how we build our instances. The way we did this when we launched EC2, and the way that most cloud providers still do this today, is with software virtualization. Virtualization uses software running on the main server to create an abstraction layer that allows the hardware of the server, the processor, the memory, the storage, to be secured and to be divided up into multiple virtual instances. The problem with this approach is that software virtualization technologies are complex. And because this software needs to be optimized for every server type in your fleet, it slows down your ability to support new instance types. Virtualization is also inefficient. It can consume 10 to 30% of the server resources just to run the virtualization layer. And because it uses the same resources as the customer instances, this means that software virtualized instances always have lower performance than bare metal servers. Because of these problems, we reinvented how we build EC2 instances with something we call Nitro. What we did with Nitro was to move all this virtualization functionality off the main server and onto its own specialized Nitro chip. This completely removes the virtualization overhead and means that we can devote all the server resources to the customer's EC2 instances, which increases performance and reduces cost. And because all of this work is done on specialized Nitro chips, the cost of supporting new instance variants is significantly reduced. Nitro is the reason that we've been able to launch new instances so quickly. Instead of every 2 to 3 years, where you used to wait to get new instance types, you now get innovative, brand new, change the game type of instances every few months. We launched the first EC2 Mac-based instance a few months ago. And I think it really helps illustrate how Nitro has allowed us to innovate more quickly. Let's have a look. What you can see here is that the EC2 Mac instance is actually a rack-mounted Mac Mini. We did not make any changes to the Mac hardware. Instead, we simply connected a Nitro controller via the Mac's Thunderbolt connector. That's it. Now when you launch a Mac instance, your Mac-compatible OMBI runs directly on the Mac Mini. No hypervisor. The Nitro controller sets up the instance and provides secure access to the EC2 network and any storage you'd attach to the instance. And that Mac Mini, it can now natively use any AWS service. It has low latency, high throughput access to services like Amazon S3 or Amazon Aurora, all the great stuff that comes with being an EC2 instance. And because all of this happens outside of the Mac Mini, you get the resources of the Mac dedicated to your workload, just like if it was running on your desktop. Hopefully, you can see why Nitro has had such a game-changing impact for us in providing unparalleled flexibility into EC2 customers. And Nitro leads us to our second big innovation that I want to talk about. And that's our investment in AWS Custom Silicon, or chips. I mentioned that with Nitro, we moved from software virtualization to using custom Nitro chips. And here, you can see that we're on our 4th generation of Nitro chip. Each generation has allowed us to improve performance and add new EC2 features. And Nitro allows us to support the broadest range of instance platforms, including Intel, AMD, ARM, and NVIDIA computing options. And this allows you to select the best processor for your workload. And we're excited to continue to support all the innovative processors that these companies are putting out, but we also saw an opportunity to innovate on our own AWS custom processors to give our customers even more flexibility. These chips, which we call Graviton, Inferential, and Trainium, are specially designed to help AWS customers improve performance and lower costs on their most demanding workloads. Let's have a look at how these 3 new chips are giving you even more flexibility. We launched our 2nd generation Graviton 2 chip last year. Graviton 2 is an ARM-based general-purpose processor that can be used to run almost any of your workloads. And it has specifically been designed for scale-out computing workloads, which dominate most modern architectures. For many applications, Graviton 2 will provide the highest absolute performance of any EC2 instance. And depending on your workload, Graviton can deliver 40% better price performance over comparable current generation x86-based instances. But don't just take my word for it. Our customers like Netflix, Snap, Lyft, Nextroll, and SmugMug have all stated that adopting Graviton 2-based instances was quite easy, and they were able to do so in just a few days. What's really exciting is seeing the success these customers are having once they've moved their workloads to Graviton 2. Lyft is seeing 30% better price performance, Nextroll is getting 50% better cost savings, and SmugMug is seeing a 40% price performance improvement. Having another processor to choose from is great, but to make optimal use of it, you need an instance that fits your workload. And we have that covered as well. Graviton 2 processors power Amazon EC2 M6G, T4G, C6G, R6G, and X2GD instances. The latest addition to the Graviton portfolio is the X2GD instances, which provide up to 55% better performance compared to the previous generation X1 instance. This broad instance selection means that there's an optimized Graviton 2 instance for most workloads, whether you need to run microservices, high-performance computing, CPU-based machine learning inference, electronic design automation, gaming, open-source databases, in-memory caches, you name it. Oh, and the T4G instances are available with a free trial until June 30th. So there's really never been a better time to try Graviton 2. Okay, the other big area of AWS chip investment is machine learning. In 2019, we released our first machine learning chip, AWS Inferential. We targeted inference because for most at-scale workloads, the cost of inference represents the vast majority of the machine learning cost. And for a successful application like Amazon Alexa, this can be a lot of inference. Inferential provides the highest throughput option for running inference on AWS. And on a price-performance basis, which matters a lot, they're almost half the cost per inference when compared to GPUs. And the best news is how little work it is to try Inferential with your machine learning workload. Our AWS Neuron software development kit allows machine learning developers to use Inferential as a target for popular frameworks, including TensorFlow, PyTorch, and MXNet. With Neuron, they can take advantage of the cost savings and performance of Inferential with little or no change to their code. The other major component of machine learning is training models. And as I mentioned earlier, AWS already has the most powerful training platform in the cloud with our P4 instances. But customers have understandably asked us to bring the same benefits we brought to inference to their training workloads. To improve training, we're building another custom machine learning chip that we call Trainium. Like Graviton and Inferential, we're optimizing it to run in the AWS cloud and expect it to offer significant price performance advantages over other options. Our Trainium-based instances will also provide the best absolute performance for your most demanding training workloads. Like Inferential, we use Neuron to allow customers to easily make use of Trainium from all the popular machine learning frameworks. Okay, hopefully you have a better sense of how our belief in driving flexibility is driving us to innovate. Of course, what really excites us most is seeing how this flexibility enables our customers to invent and deliver amazing results.
Thanks very much, Peter. Now I'm excited to welcome Julian Ogren, CEO of StreamMotion, to share how Kayo and Binge have rapidly innovated and scaled in the last 2 years to transform how we consume sport and entertainment. Please welcome to AWS Summit Julian Ogren.
It's entertaining, it's fast-paced, it's everything you want in the footy. Six for Chris Lynn. Here's Munster. Dances and he's out. Follow me all you can. Shiva and Finchke Husband.
Thanks, Adam, for the warm welcome and for having me at the AWS Summit. It was just over 2 years ago that we set out to change the way Aussies experience sport. Australians are arguably the biggest consumers of sport in the world. It's in our DNA. We all have a favourite footy team, a favourite player and a favourite sporting moment. We knew many Australians followed at least 3 sports passionately. They wanted all their sports in one place, and they wanted to consume their sports in different ways, on their phone or PC, or stream directly to the big screen TV. Essentially, our audiences wanted to watch their favourite domestic sports like AFL, NRL, cricket and supercars, alongside the international sports like Formula One, NBA, NFL and golf, whenever and wherever they want. Now I'm going to let you in on something that isn't widely known. Kayo is the new sibling of Foxtel and Fox Sports, which from day one offered us a set of sports rights unmatched anywhere in the world. So our challenge now wasn't sport, it was building the solution. So how did we do it? Well, we started by throwing the rulebook out. We were left to think and act differently, like a startup. It began with building a great team, investing in technology to provide us with a legacy-free next-generation platform. We created a completely new brand, one that appealed to a digital-savvy audience. And then we set out to build the world's most comprehensive sports streaming service, the Netflix of sport, with over 50 of the best sports from around the world. We provided all that on a world-leading digital B2C management platform powered by some of the best tech minds in the world. You don't do all of this without great companies that understood your vision and the unique requirements to deliver live sport. AWS was part of our journey, working with us to help create an innovative platform that Kayo is today. This included the ability to manage the demands of multiple and simultaneous live sporting events through AWS, enabling us to scale with speed and efficiency to manage the load of customers coming in for the live events. We used AWS services to create a next-generation business model centered on a single customer view through the development of an independent data lake, one that stitched hundreds of thousands of data points together to deliver insights that we can action in near real time. With all of this, we knew we were building something special. On November 9, 2018, Kayo was born. We launched the service in beta. No announcement, no campaign. Instead, we put Kayo in the hands of the consumers, and we waited and we listened. Every morning we would meet and talk through the overnight feedback. Those first customers that found and tested the product were early adopters and heavy users of the streaming services. They expected the best, were unforgiving, and they were vocal. We listened and we acted fast. Across this beta period, there were over 100 iterations based on real-world feedback. Just over a fortnight later, we officially launched the service, and we knew we were putting the very best product into the market. The user journey started with a frictionless customer sign-up, where they could be watching a game within minutes, vital when delivering live sport at volume. We created new experiences by developing groundbreaking features. Fast forward this time last year, before COVID, and we were seeing a hugely engaged customer base with more than 450,000 subscribers. Social sentiment was close to 90% positive. 95% of subscribers were self-serving through our digital service platforms, and they were streaming nearly 6 hours a week and watching over 6 sports each month. We were delivering over 700 hours of live sport across more than 280 live events on any weekend.
We were hitting over 800,000 unique users streaming live sport, consuming over 1.5 million hours on one weekend. These stats are all unprecedented. Then along came COVID. Live sport suddenly stopped. Now, while we rallied to feed our ravenous fans with on-demand content, we also kept one eye on the return of sport. Then bang! What felt like overnight, live sport was back, but with no crowds. This created a big opportunity for Kayo, the ability to deliver live games to sports-starved fans who couldn't get to stadiums. And we were ready. Customers started coming back and in volume. Not only those who had paused their subscription, but now with 18 months awareness and a lot of hype around the brand, we saw a rush of new customers sign up for the first time. Viewing on Kayo soared in 2020. We delivered a world-leading customer experience with an unmatched sub-7-second latency, and we continued to innovate. In just 2 weeks, we conceived, approved, built and launched a pay-per-view offering just in time for the big fight between Tim Tszyu and Jeff Horn. With pubs and clubs across the country shut, Kayo was the new home of sport. By August 4, we had bounced back stronger than ever to hit nearly 600,000 active subscribers. That's 33% up from our pre-COVID numbers. Our aspiration is to become the #1 sports brand in Australia. To deliver that aspiration, we built a platform with the intention to scale. We've created new partnerships. That includes becoming the official streaming partner of Telstra, replacing the Telstra Live Passes for AFL and NRL. A partnership that is allowing us to tap into a whole new audience through Telstra's 3 million sports subscribers. And we continue to innovate. We launched Kayo Freebies, putting free sports content in front of the paywall, giving those who haven't tried us a taste of what we have to offer. The result is, I'm proud to say, we've crashed through 1 million subscribers in the past month. It's a fantastic result. Our technology platform has also allowed us to take another major step. Last May, we launched our new entertainment streaming service, Binge, home to the world's best TV shows, onto our next generation platform. Just on a year old, Binge has bolted out of the gates to be one of the fastest growing Australian streaming services with over 500,000 subscribers already. On March 18 this year, we had one of the biggest tests to our platform scalability, with blockbuster events occurring at the same time on both Binge and Kayo. AFL Round 1 was launching, NRL was already in action, and the movie moment of the year, Zack Snyder's Justice League, was premiering. As you can imagine, this presented incredible demand on our platform that underpins both Kayo and Binge, but with the work we'd done, we were able to present all 3 blockbuster events seamlessly. That same weekend, we saw over 1,000 customers signing up to the platform every 60 seconds. And across the 4 days, we recorded over 3 million unique users with more than 6 million hours streamed. And that's the power of what we have created here. You may ask what's next. Well, it's fair to say we won't be stopping there. And we value working with great companies like AWS that allow us to keep innovating and keep growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Julian, for joining us today and sharing your story. I'm inspired by the speed of your success, the scale of Kayo's growth, and what you've achieved in just 2 years. Let's now head back to Peter to hear more about how flexibility and scalability in your workloads can accelerate innovation.
Such amazing progress and important work. We talked about how we are innovating to give you the most flexibility in your instances. Now, let's look at innovations in computing. Let's start with containers. Developers really love containers. Containers allow you to use smaller, more portable units of compute. And because containers further simplify the computing infrastructure, they allow you to build things even faster. If you look at the growth of containers in computing, it's astounding. 80% of cloud-hosted containers run on AWS. And that's because while most other providers have one container offering, typically managed Kubernetes, AWS gives you the flexibility of 3 separate container options. There are thousands of organizations that already have experience running containers at scale with Kubernetes. For these customers, we have EKS. EKS is great because it lets you focus on your services and container needs, not on running, managing, and patching of Kubernetes itself. It allows engineers who are already familiar with the Kubernetes ecosystem to get up and running quickly on AWS. AWS has been natively supporting container development since 2014, when we launched ECS, or the Amazon Elastic Container Service. ECS is our AWS-inspired way of managing containers. ECS focuses on simplicity and ease of use, allowing you to manage your containers using APIs in the same way you manage your other AWS resources. ECS has deep integration with a broad set of AWS services. Our customers tell us they love the flexibility of these two container services, ECS and EKS. But many of these customers have told us they would prefer not to have to worry about servers or clusters at all. They would prefer to manage containers at the task level. And that's why we built AWS Fargate. AWS Fargate empowers you to run containers without having to manage servers or clusters at all. Fargate is really simple to use. You specify the CPU and memory you need, you define the network and the identity requirements, and then you upload everything to Fargate. And from there, Fargate deploys your application tasks for you. It automatically scales up and down. It deploys across multiple availability zones for high availability. Managing containers at the task level is simpler than running them at the server level. And we're seeing that the vast majority of new container customers on AWS are starting with Fargate. Today, all three of our container offerings continue to grow unbelievably fast. And we actually have a lot of customers who use 2 or even 3 of these container offerings, because different teams have different preferences and different use cases, and they want the right tool for the job. Containers are popular because they remove even more of the complexity of running your own infrastructure. But several years ago, we asked ourselves if we could simplify things even further. And that's why we built Lambda. Lambda enables event-driven serverless computing, which allows you to write applications without managing servers or containers at all. Instead, you identify the events that you're interested in, and you use AWS Lambda to respond to these events with something called functions. Functions are the code that you write to do useful work. And when an event occurs, Lambda spins up the necessary compute to run your function and shuts it back down when your function is done. And this is all done in a fault-tolerant way with no work from you. And with Lambda, you're only charged for the time that your functions are running. For a very large number of applications, event-driven serverless computing using Lambda is the best tool. If you look at the new applications that we built inside of Amazon in 2020, half of them are using Lambda as their compute engine. With event-based serverless computing, flexibility matters as well. First, you need the flexibility to run any function you want. And with Lambda, functions can be as small or as large as you need, up to 10 gigabytes with 6 cores running for a full 15 minutes. But functions are built at the millisecond granularity. And to really make Lambda the go-to tool in your toolbox, we need to support the broadest and most flexible way to create events. And that's exactly what we're doing. When we first launched Lambda back in 2014, we integrated it with services like Amazon S3 and DynamoDB to trigger jobs when data changed. And this made it very useful for processing data. But customers told us they wanted to do so much more. Today, Lambda is integrated with 140 different AWS services and events. These are purpose-built services, and there are a set of purpose-built services to help you build all kinds of serverless applications. For example, API Gateway allows you to publish and manage your APIs to make it easy to build serverless web apps. And EventBridge and Step Functions allow you to create sophisticated serverless applications without spending time on the undifferentiated glue code and workflow management. All of this without having to manage any underlying infrastructure. Now you can completely focus on your application and your code and leave the heavy lifting of everything else to AWS. Hopefully, you can see how our incredible pace of innovation is giving you unprecedented flexibility with compute. But you need this flexibility with more than just compute. Here at AWS, we've focused on giving you this type of flexibility in many areas. For example, moving your data to the cloud will give you the flexibility to unlock the power of your information with analytics and machine learning. To tell you more, I'd like to welcome to the stage Dorothy Li, Vice President, AWS Business Intelligence and Analytics.
Thank you, Peter. Over the years here at Amazon, I've had a passion for building products and services that are simple, flexible, and delightful to use, such as Amazon Kindle and Prime. As Vice President of Business Intelligence and Analytics, I'm now focused on helping our customers get more value from their data. I feel confident in saying that right now, flexibility has never been more important than when it comes to getting better value from your data. Choice matters for all the services we discussed today, but it really matters for your data. A good data strategy is critical to enabling you to take advantage of technologies like analytics and machine learning. We're all generating more data than ever. In every hour today, we're creating more data than what we did in an entire year 20 years ago. And in the next 3 years, there will be more data created than the prior 30 years combined. We're increasingly viewing data, analytics, and machine learning as strategic to our business. Between user-generated content, log files, transactions, and IoT data, you're probably gathering a lot more data than you used to. This is why it is so important to have a platform that has the flexibility to manage this wide variety of information and helps you become a data-driven organization. Let me share an example from a few years ago when I was working on Amazon Kindle. We were looking for ways to improve customer engagement with our mobile applications. One of the ideas the team had was to give away free books to customers when they signed up for the app. Now, this is a scary idea. Our Kindle apps are already free, so the only time we make money is when people actually buy books from the store. But because we are a data-driven company that values experimentation, we decided to try it out and see what the data told us. Happily, what we found ended up confirming our hypothesis. Those customers who were offered free books became our most engaged Kindle readers, while the cohort that was presented with only samples were less likely to engage with Kindle over time. And because we made this data available across Amazon, teams like Amazon Prime were able to use it when building a much larger offering with free books, now being available to everyone with a Prime subscription. This is why data-driven organizations consider data to be a cross-organizational asset. There is so much business value that can be unlocked by setting up processes to collect and share data rather than keeping it in silos or treating it as the property of individual departments. For example, your customer service database can be combined with your order database to better understand operational issues. But for this data to have value, it has to be democratized, meaning that it's properly classified and securely made available to anyone who needs to use it. Lastly, to be a data-driven organization, you need to put your data to work through analytics and machine learning. Analysis through modern data tools is the best way to make decisions, create efficiencies, and drive new innovations for your customers. This is why Amazon, along with many of our most successful customers, are embracing a data-driven culture as a competitive advantage. Now, I think there are 3 key phases that you should look at when making the journey to becoming more data-driven. Some of you may already be well down the path, while others may not even know where to start. But there's value to be captured at each phase. The first step is to migrate off of on-premises databases and storage solutions and onto a modern cloud data infrastructure. Once you've migrated, the second phase is liberating the data by breaking down data silos and make data more accessible to anyone who needs it. And the third is to harness the power of that data using AI and machine learning. Let's start with how you can modernize your data infrastructure and migrate to more flexible, purpose-built data stores. For those of you running legacy data infrastructure on-prem or self-managed in the cloud, you know the management of this infrastructure is tedious, time-consuming, and expensive. This legacy data structure requires a lot of undifferentiated heavy lifting. You worry about hardware and software installation and configuration, performance and availability, scalability issues such as capacity planning and cluster scaling, and security and compliance issues. And many of the on-prem databases live with old-guard commercial-grade database providers like Oracle and Microsoft with SQL Server. And these are expensive, proprietary, have large, high amounts of lock-in and punitive licensing terms. Because of this, many builders are trying to migrate as fast as they can to open source databases. However, getting the same performance on open source databases as you can get on commercial grade databases can be difficult. The most straightforward and simple solution for many customers who are struggling to maintain their own relational databases at scale is a move to a managed database service, like Amazon RDS or Amazon Aurora. Amazon Aurora is a MySQL and PostgreSQL compatible relational database built for the cloud that combines the performance and availability of high-end commercial databases with the simplicity and cost-effectiveness of open source databases. Aurora is up to 5 times faster than standard MySQL databases and 3 times the throughput of standard PostgreSQL, with the security, availability, and reliability of commercial-grade databases at 1/10 the cost. So Aurora is hugely popular. But in a world where you're now dealing with petabytes and sometimes exabytes of data, a relational database doesn't always make sense. Relational databases have been around for so long that most developers are comfortable with them. But using relational databases for tasks they're not well suited for can be expensive, add unnecessary overhead, and underperform for some use cases. And that's what we've been working on in these last several years. We've built 7 of these purpose-built databases, more than what you'll find anywhere else by a fair amount. And you need a cloud provider that gives you the flexibility to choose the right database for the right job. So I'll give you some examples. If you're a company like Lyft, and you have millions of geolocations and driver combinations, you don't want a relational database. You want a high-throughput, low-latency, key-value store like DynamoDB with libraries specifically built for geospatial data. Or if you're a company like Siemens Energy, and you're connecting all these different graphs of information for fleets of gas turbines across the globe that have relationships attached to them, you want a graph database like Neptune. But having the flexibility of these modern databases available isn't enough. You need to be able to migrate quickly and easily. Moving to a low-cost or more capable database doesn't have to be a difficult process. At AWS, we offer a few options for customers trying to migrate. For many migrations, The self-service path using the database migration service and schema conversion tool offers the tools necessary to execute a migration. For assistance in the migration process, there are also several migration partners that offer expertise as well. And there's the Database Freedom Program, which is the best option for customers looking to move away from the punitive licensing costs of commercial database vendors and avoiding the vendor lock-in. Database Freedom is a unique program designed to assist customers migrating to AWS database and analytics services by providing technical advice, migration support, and financial assistance. Once you've migrated to modern data infrastructure, you can begin liberating your data. Across the board, I see organizations looking to use their data to make better decisions quickly as changes occur. And to achieve this agility, you need to integrate vast amounts of data that were previously siloed in order to get a complete view of their customers and business operations. To liberate your data and gain faster insights across a diverse set of information, many companies like BMW Group and Experian are migrating all their data from various silos into a single location, often called a data lake. Centralizing all your data is key to unlocking its value using advanced capabilities like analytics and machine learning. With the data lake, you can provide controlled data access to the data scientists, developers, and business analysts in your organization. They can then access the data lake using their choice of analytic and machine learning tools and immediately start creating value for your business. So how do you build a data lake? It all starts with Amazon S3. Amazon S3 is the best place to build a data lake because it has unmatched flexibility, durability, availability, and scalability. It is built to store and retrieve any amount of data with unmatched availability and built from the ground up to deliver 11 nines of durability. However, S3 is just one piece of a modern data lake architecture. Our customers are using purpose-built analytics services on top of their data lake in S3 to solve various big data use cases. If you want to do ad hoc query on data directly in your S3 data lake using standard SQL, you can use Athena. If you want to process vast amounts of unstructured data across dynamically scalable clusters using popular distributed frameworks like Spark, Hadoop, and Presto, you can use EMR. EMR also runs directly against the data stored in your S3 data lake, so you don't need to move or transform your data. And if you want to quickly search and analyze large amounts of log data to monitor the health of your production systems and troubleshoot problems, you can use Elasticsearch service. If you want to do real-time processing of streaming data, you can use Kinesis. And if you have structured data where you want super fast querying results, you want something like a data warehouse. And we have Redshift, which was the first data warehouse built for the cloud and really disrupted the economics of data warehousing. Redshift is the only cloud data warehouse that lets you run queries at exabyte scale against your data lake and at petabyte scale in your cluster. Redshift also enables querying of operational data stores, such as Amazon Aurora. Redshift provides fast performance at any scale, delivering up to 3 times better price performance than other cloud data warehouses. Now, we recently launched several features for Redshift, including Aqua, a new hardware-accelerated cache that uses purpose-built processors to deliver up to 10 times better performance than any other data warehouse solution.
Thanks, Dorothy. I'd now like to welcome Sandra Martinez, the Oceania CEO of Nestle. Sandra will share how Nestle is using data to transform the customer experience for people like you and I, and even our four-legged friends. Please welcome to AWS Summit, Sandra Martinez.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to join you for the AWS Summit. While I join you today as CEO of Nestle, I first started out in IT back in 1983, programming COBOL and punching cards. And what a way we've come. The disruptive innovation I've seen throughout my career has been incredible. Innovation is at the heart of why Nestle is the world's largest food and beverage company. Innovation matched with understanding consumer needs sits behind the creations of what have become iconic brands like Kit Kat, Nescafé, Milo, Maggi, Nespresso, and Purina. And I am delighted to be able to share two examples from our collaboration with AWS with you today. We innovate to meet the needs of our consumers. But what about when we don't know what our consumer needs? What about when our consumers can't speak? I am sure many of you are pet owners and can relate when I ask, how do you know what food and how much food your pet needs? We found a way to help give our four-legged friends a voice. Meet my dog, Cody. As a pet owner, I understand how difficult it can be to know what is the right food to feed Cody and how much to give him as his needs change, as he ages and he's not as active. We know this is an emotional decision for pet owners. Our pets are part of our families. Ensuring a healthier, happier pet is crucial. What if we could use data to help tell pet owners the specific needs for their pet? What if I knew exactly what Cody, my senior schnauzer, needed? Or if my son knew just what Woki, his young, active French bulldog, needs? We've created a connected pet ecosystem through an app and a smart ball that helps pet owners to better understand their animal and ensure optimal nutrition, all from the palm of their hand. We call this Purina Checker. Our Purina Checker smart ball is managed by our Purina Intelligent Engine built on and powered by AWS IoT services. This system allows pet owners to feed the right food in the right portion every time. Pet owners input the breed, age, size, and any diet considerations, which then delivers a personalized food recommendation. Pet owners set the feeding frequency, the smart ball monitors consumption. We know pet owners often forget to keep on top of their pet health needs. The app includes built-in health reminders such as flea and worming, vaccination and grooming appointment notifications. The app links to our Purina store and offers subscription options, allowing pet owners to make a purchase directly and have it delivered to their door. Pet Checker then tracks consumption and over time will make further recommendations of what pet food should be purchased. It collects data on different days, charts consumption, as well as pets' activity levels, sleep, and play, to allow the system to provide even more specific information on what and how much a pet owner should feed. Pet ownership has increased dramatically during COVID, with many of us looking for that companionship. And while we spent more time at home, of course there were more walks, more play, and undeniably more treats. How do we know how these factors affect pets? Are they still getting the right food and the right volume? Are those extra treats contributing too many calories? And as more of us return to the workplace more often, how will our pets be affected? Checker can provide pet owners with peace of mind. It is real-time data telling pet owners what their pet needs and personalizing nutritional recommendations. Purina Checker will be rolled out for sale later this year, primarily to new pet owners. But this is only the start. This technology really does give our pets a voice. The data capture will continue to be used to inform future opportunities for us and our pets. Our data scientists continue to use the insights and examine everything from how different breeds eat, what shape of kibble is more palatable, to how we can further improve our pets' oral health. All centered around how we can support pet owners to have healthier, happier pets. But pet ownership wasn't the only thing that rose during COVID. So too did coffee consumption at home. For many discerning coffee drinkers, this has become as much about enjoying their coffee as it has been about recreating the cafe experience at home and enjoying a richer, more immersive experience. These coffee drinkers want to feel a direct connection with where their beans are coming from and know that they can enjoy premium coffee from around the globe that is freshly roasted. We looked at how we could connect consumers with the coffee journey through the creation of our coffee brand, Chain of Origin. To meet these consumer demands, we created a coffee that could proudly say when it was farmed, when it was roasted, how it was packaged, the ideal way to brew it. Chain of Origin is a premium single origin coffee that provides complete supply chain transparency from crop to cup, with technology at its heart. The use of Amazon-managed blockchain allows us to provide a transparent window into the provenance of single origin coffee.
In reality, the landscape of coffee is driven by big companies. We've seen a growing trend of consumers wanting variety, new flavours.
Consumers want to know more in terms of where their products are coming from. The challenge for us is we can go one level into the supply chain and talk to our brokers or our buyers. But it's very, very hard to see multiple layers in. And that's where we're interested in the potential of blockchain. The whole premise is understanding where the product is coming and where the product is going. There's batch numbers, material numbers. That's all stored in closed databases. It's not publicly accessible information.
Whereas in the past, we might source beans from a particular area or region. Now we can go all the way down to a specific farm. We could even pinpoint to an actual section within that farm, from the fields of a farm all the way to the cup that they're drinking.
Each pack of Chain of Origin coffee carries a unique QR code that links to a personalized web page with data that we have taken from the blockchain, connecting the coffee supply direct to the consumer. You can be assured of the ultimate personalized premium single origin coffee experience. Our data shows that 82% of Chain of Origin customers in fact scan our QR code to better understand the artisanship of their coffee. Part of adopting new technology is about learning what is possible, learning about how we deliver to our consumers more efficiently, more rapidly, and where there are scalable solutions. Working with Amazon Web Services for both Checker and Chain of Origin is allowing us to see just that. What is possible?
Sandra, thank you for sharing your presentation. With 2021 being the year of data and analytics, it's very exciting to hear how Nestle is changing the supply chain through data. Right now, I'd like to hand back to Dorothy to hear more about how machine learning can create new opportunities and improve the customer experience.
Once you have migrated your data to a modern infrastructure and you have broken down data silos, you've set yourself up for our third step in the path to becoming data-driven, innovating with machine learning. You can apply machine learning to help solve your most pressing business challenges and create new opportunities. This is really where the magic happens. In fact, we have many customers who start by asking for ML or AI. We end up needing to work backwards, first forming a data strategy. We see a world where ML is built into every function of your business. Now, I feel confident in saying machine learning is the most impactful technology of our lifetime, and organizations cannot survive without it. Machine learning should be adding intelligence to every part of your organization. More than 100,000 customers use AWS for machine learning today, from creating a more personalized customer experience to developing personalized pharmaceuticals. These tools are no longer a niche investment. Our customers are applying machine learning to the core of their business. Let's take a look at some examples. Domino's Pizza uses machine learning for predictive ordering to help meet its goal of delivering hot, fresh pizzas in 10 minutes or less following an order. Roche, the second largest pharmaceutical company in the world, uses Amazon SageMaker to accelerate the delivery of treatments and tailor medical experiences. The NFL uses machine learning as part of its player health and safety initiative. With the right data foundation in place, our customers are innovating in their space and creating competitive advantage by doing this. Our customers choose to run their machine learning workloads on AWS because of our flexibility, depth, and breadth of services, and rapid pace of innovation. Let's take a look. At AWS, we think of machine learning like a stack, where each layer builds on the one below it. As you go up the stack, we work to decrease complexity and make machine learning easier to use and integrate with your applications. At the bottom layer of the ML stack, we provide capabilities for expert machine learning practitioners, including optimized versions of the most popular deep learning frameworks, including PyTorch, MXNet, and TensorFlow. And AWS provides the broadest and deepest portfolio of ML infrastructure services, with the choice of processors and accelerators to meet your unique performance and budget needs, as Peter mentioned earlier. At the middle layer, we have Amazon SageMaker, which allows developers and data scientists to build, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale. SageMaker includes a broad set of capabilities, many of which are both novel and unique to AWS. And these services are available through an integrated development environment for machine learning, which we call SageMaker Studio. By standardizing on SageMaker, you can remove the complexity from each step of the machine learning workflow so that it's faster, more cost-effective, and easier to do. We have customers from virtually every industry using SageMaker, including financial services, healthcare, media, sports, retail, automotive, and manufacturing. Customers are seeing significant results from standardizing their ML workloads on SageMaker. For instance, Lyft's autonomous vehicle division, Level 5, reduced model training time from days to hours. Vanguard deploys workloads up to 20 times faster. And ADP reduced time to deploy machine learning models from 2 weeks to just 1 day. As you can see, we built new tools across the entirety of the machine learning workflow to help develop and manage ML models at scale. And at the top layer are our AI services, which are helping customers adopt ML without having to build their own ML models from scratch. With the right data in place, using our AI services, you can be up and running with AI-driven solutions in minutes, with no ML experience required. We've applied Amazon's more than 20 years of experience in machine learning to deliver services such as Amazon Personalize for personalized recommendations and Amazon Forecast to automatically create custom demand forecasts. We're using machine learning to solve real business challenges for our customers. Amazon Kendra is one example. It's an end-to-end intelligent search solution which can connect to multiple data sources and uses ML to create an accurate index which can be searched with natural language queries. Again, no ML experience required. Customers can build and customize their index and search interface without writing a line of code. Amazon Code Guru allows developers to use machine learning to provide automatic code review, providing guidance and recommendations on how to fix some truly hard-to-find bugs. And we just launched DevOps Guru to easily improve an application's operational performance and availability. And at reinvent 2020, we launched the preview of Amazon Lookout for Metrics, which uses machine learning to detect anomalies in virtually any time series data. With Kendra, we built a service that helps you search through unstructured data. But sometimes you have structured business data you need to search through. And that's why we built Amazon QuickSight Q. With QuickSight Q, you simply type words in the Q search bar using natural language. And Q uses sophisticated deep learning, natural language processing, schema understanding, and semantic parsing to simplify your search. Another example is Amazon Connect, our contact center in the cloud. Contact center agents are on the front line of your customer service. But as you've probably noticed, today's legacy contact center solutions have a bunch of problems that get in the way of delivering excellent customer experiences. Amazon Connect is based on the same technology used by Amazon for 10 years. You can set up, configure your contact center in minutes, and it's easy to configure. There's no infrastructure to deploy or manage, and it scales up and down based on your usage. You can save up to 80% over traditional contact center solutions. Connect is the first contact center built from the ground up with the cloud and machine learning, where we provide automatic voice transcription, sentiment analysis, and analytics using ML. As you can see, we've completely reimagined call centers. And many of these horizontal application spaces are ripe for change. By having a flexible platform with the broadest and deepest set of tools, you can quickly take advantage of these opportunities. How about vertical business segments? Ask yourself, which of these have the potential for huge transformation? And the answer is all of them. Let's look at a few examples. One area where we're seeing a lot of reinvention happening is in industrial manufacturing, where they're using data in the cloud and in nodes at the edge to rethink how their design processes on the production line from supply chain to finished product. We've launched 5 new capabilities designed to help customers in industrial manufacturing to improve their process from start to finish. Another industry with a lot of valuable data that is working to reinvent itself is healthcare. Healthcare data is often spread out across various systems, such as electronic medical records, lab systems, and exists in dozens of incompatible formats, making it hard to gain insights. To help with this, we launched Amazon Health Lake, which transforms data automatically, extracting meaningful medical information from raw, disparate data. Health Lake organizes data in chronological order so that you can look at trends like disease progression over time, giving healthcare organizations new tools to improve care and intervene earlier. While machine learning is getting considerably easier through our services, it can still be a complex process. So we also offer several ways to help you get started. To help you identify a use case and bring it to proof of concept, we have the Amazon ML Solutions Lab. It combines hands-on educational workshops with brainstorming sessions to help you work backwards from business challenges, and then we take you step by step through the process of developing machine learning-based solutions to those challenges. Where customers want greater involvement, we have a large professional services organization and a deep bench of ML competency partners who work closely with you to deliver total solutions. So to recap, you have a significant opportunity to become a data-driven organization. We've shown today how critical it is that you migrate to a modern data infrastructure with flexible, purpose-built data stores. And that liberating your data with Data Lake will enable you to make the most of your information. And lastly, unlocking the power of your data using AI and machine learning. However, some customers are still sorting out how they can bring the flexibility of the AWS cloud to their business. Peter, can you come back on stage and share some of your thoughts on hybrid?
Thank you, Dorothy. That's a lot of flexibility. We've talked about a lot of flexibility today, and having the flexibility to choose the right service across compute and data is so important to running your workloads in the cloud. But equally important is having the flexibility of where to run your workloads. Some people talk about this as hybrid cloud. We think of this as enabling customers to have the flexibility to run their workloads wherever they need. For example, we make it easy to run the software you use on your on-premise infrastructure in the cloud. If you're using virtualization in your data center, it's likely you're running on VMware. And by integrating VMware with our i3 bare metal EC2 instances powered by Nitro, we were able to enable customers to run the full VMware software-defined data center stack, including the ESXi hypervisor, directly on AWS managed infrastructure. This is actually another great example of how Nitro has enabled us to innovate fast and deliver flexible solutions that simply weren't possible before. With VMware Cloud on AWS, you can extend your on-premises infrastructure into the cloud while using the same skills, processes, and governance you do to manage your on-premise infrastructure. But flexibility works the other way as well. Some of our customers want to take advantage of AWS services, but still use their on-premises computing capacity. For example, what if you've containerized your applications and want to run ECS or EKS containers on the servers you already have in your data center? That's why we developed Amazon ECS Anywhere and Amazon EKS Anywhere. ECS and EKS Anywhere lets you run the containers in the cloud and on your on-premises infrastructure with the same APIs and cluster management features. But flexibility is more than just extending your applications from on-premises into the cloud and vice versa. It's about running your application anywhere in the world. Here's a map of the AWS global infrastructure. Each of these little dots is actually a big AWS region. There are currently 25 AWS regions, as well as another 5 that we have announced coming in the near future. And each of these regions is made up of multiple independent availability zones. In total, we have 80 availability zones across our AWS global infrastructure. This global infrastructure gives you the flexibility to run your applications all over the world. But as we have talked to customers, we have found that customers will benefit from even more flexibility. So, of course, we looked into ways to help. Let's look at some of the ways that we can help you run your workloads in even more places. AWS local zones are a new type of AWS infrastructure that places compute, storage, databases, and other AWS services close to population centers. With local zones, you can run your latency-sensitive applications close to your end users. Local zones provide single-digit millisecond latency for use cases such as media and entertainment, content creation, real-time gaming, and machine learning workloads that need low latency. We launched our first local zone in Los Angeles in 2019, and we've recently added local zones in Boston, Houston, and Miami. We'll be launching 12 additional local zones this year. With local zones, we've given customers another way to run workloads closer to their customers, but still use the same familiar AWS services, APIs, and tools. But what if you need AWS infrastructure somewhere that we don't yet have a region or a local zone, or even closer to your existing infrastructure? That's why we built AWS Outpost, which effectively give you the flexibility to run AWS infrastructure and services anywhere that you can install a rack. Outposts are racks of AWS servers with AWS compute, storage, database, analytics services running on them. With an Outpost, we took all of the know-how of 15 years of operating infrastructure at scale, along with our innovative Nitro platform, and brought them all to your data center. We deliver it, we install it, we do all the maintenance, including firmware patching, operational and security upgrades. With AWS Outposts, you get the same APIs, the same control plane, the same tools, and the same hardware that you get in the public cloud. And while Outpost gives you the flexibility to run almost anywhere, what if you want to use Outpost in a smaller space, like a branch office, where you only need maybe 1 or 2 servers? At reInvent, we announced smaller AWS Outposts in a 1U and a 2U form factor. And for those of you that don't speak U, a 1U server is basically the size of a pizza box. So these are small rack-mountable servers that will provide local compute and networking services to edge locations that have limited space or smaller capacity requirements. You can think of things like retail stores, branch offices, healthcare providers, factory floors. But we aren't done yet. People are very excited about 5G. 5G can enable you to build low-latency applications without managing any local infrastructure. But any application that wants to do anything interesting is going to need compute and storage. And typically, that's on AWS. For mobile applications to leverage that infrastructure, they have to go from the device to the mobile network, to the local aggregation site, to the regional aggregation site, to the internet, to AWS, and back. And that's not low latency. That's dozens to hundreds of milliseconds. Not nearly fast enough to run the sorts of applications that people are envisioning with 5Gs. Things like connected vehicles, smart factories, gaming, immersive AR, VR experiences. So customers wanted us to help them find a way to change that. And that's why we launched AWS Wavelength, which extends AWS to the 5G edge carriers so that you only have to go from the device to the metro 5G aggregation site to access local AWS infrastructure. That means you get the same developer experience, tooling, and AWS services at the 5G edge to build your low latency applications and services. Wavelength is available in 10 cities across the US with Verizon. It's also available in Tokyo and Osaka, Japan with KDDI, and in South Korea with SK Telecom. Wavelength is great for apps with amazing connectivity. But what if you need to operate in locations with limited or no connectivity? Increasingly, there are more and more applications that run in vehicles or drones or ships that need something portable, ruggedized, and able to operate with minimal connectivity. This is why we built our Snow family of devices. This family of devices includes Snowball Edge and Snowcone, which are different-sized hardware applications that you can bring to the disconnected edge. These devices help you physically transport exabytes of data into and out of the AWS cloud. And they have built-in compute, so you can do some analytics and processing at the edge. They're ideal for local data collection and processing in remote places, from bases and ships to first responder vehicles to even mobile media teams working on foot. And if at any point you want to detach that appliance and send it back to us, we'll ingest the data so you can do large-scale analytics with the services that Dorothy talked about earlier today. We continue to think that in the fullness of time, the vast majority of computing will end up in the cloud. The cost, agility, and functionality advantages are just too great. But we also understand that location matters. Whether that location is your existing data center with your legacy applications, or wherever you need to be to best serve your customers, AWS is going to continue to focus on giving you the flexibility to run your applications wherever makes the most sense. That's our vision for flexible hybrid solutions.
Thank you very much, Dorothy and Peter. The opportunity for Australia and New Zealand to leverage cloud technology to accelerate innovation is immense. I firmly believe there's no better time to start building. One organisation that is embracing technology at a rapid rate to digitise the banking experience for its customers is Commonwealth Bank. To hear more about how the bank is embracing AWS to transform, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to AWS Summit the CEO of Commonwealth Bank, Matt Common. Matt, thanks so much for joining us at AWS Summit.
Pleasure. Great to be with you.
Commonwealth Bank has had a long history of technology leadership in Australia. What role has technology played in supporting your customers, Matt?
Well, technology, as you said, has been a big part of our strategy for many years, as it has for, I guess, many financial institutions around the world. For us, developing the first mainframe in the 60s to automatic teller machines in the 80s, first going online in 1995, and then, of course, continued enhancements and innovations after that. We were one of the first banks globally to go to a real-time core banking system. And we've made big investments in digital and particularly our data and analytics capability to feed our digital engagement and ensure that we've got the most personalised and relevant experience for all of our customers.
Can you tell me about Commonwealth Bank's ambition to provide excellent digital experiences globally?
Yeah, well, a big part of what we think strategically is we want to reimagine the products and services that we provide to our customers. At the heart of that, we believe that banking isn't commoditised, and we certainly don't want to be providing a commodity product or service. So innovation is a really important part of that. And of course, increasingly now, digital is such a big part of the way we interact with our customers. We've got 7.5 million digitally active customers, which is about a third of the population of Australia. So it's an enormous opportunity, but also responsibility to engage with our customers and deliver the most personalised and relevant experience.
Yeah.
We're rated the number one banking app in Australia, but increasingly we believe that our customers will rate us not just against our peer set, but also the best digital experience that they have in their daily lives.
You're investing a lot in technology at the moment. Can you tell us some of the areas where you're making these investments?
Yeah, sure. Well, as a large financial institution and, of course, a very heavily regulated industry, we spend a good proportion, about half of our overall investment envelope in areas that you'd expect around risk, resilience, security, data privacy. Clearly, cyber has become a huge risk for all companies, so that's been a big part of it. But particularly around improving, as I said, reimagining our products and services, big investments in digital, in our mobile app, and of course thinking over the horizon about what the next generation user interface will be. Big investments in data and analytics and something that we call our customer engagement engine, which we use to orchestrate all of the actions that we take and offers to our customers across about 157 billion data points in real time.
What do you see as the role of cloud transforming financial services?
Well, I think a really important role into the future, but it's also been an important aspect for us for many years. In about 2012, we started working with AWS, and I know one of the early businesses that we moved out into the cloud was CommSec, which is a retail stockbroking business in Australia. We're fortunate to have about 50% market share in that particular business. And if I just simply contrast the trading volumes through the GFC, where we were trading about 100,000 trades per day, and they were on our own data centres, and some of the difficulties that we had to be able to flex to that peak, and then contrast that during COVID, where it was broadly about 4 times that trading volume. It's a really good use case for the flexibility and power that you get from an AWS instance being able to spin up that extra capacity at short notice and to be able to deal with a very significant peak in activity over that time.
Yeah.
But as we look forward, for us, it's now about getting many more of our core workloads onto the cloud, making sure that for the applications that are really important to us, where we think there's going to be a lot of change, we want them to be running natively on the AWS experience and leveraging a lot of the capabilities and product innovation that you're building out. And then, of course, leveraging with some of those other core workloads, some of the benefits that you get either from a cost, from a lower marginal cost than we'd get from running our own data centers, but also just higher resilience and availability. And probably the last one, which is actually a really important one from my perspective, is making sure that we're delivering a great engineering experience for our software engineers, and they're able to spend their time, building out and improving the products and services that we provide, rather than trying to set up infrastructure or environments for themselves. So we very much see our cloud strategy as one that we want to see facilitate much greater velocity and innovation inside the Commonwealth Bank.
We know one of your passions is attracting and retaining the best talent. What role will skills play in driving your customer innovation?
Yeah, and because technology is such an important part of our overall strategy and of our workforce, some of our our lead engineers are some of the most important people inside the organisation. I've got a fortnightly meeting with our top engineers to sort of really work through what are some of the things that would actually make their lives easier and more productive. And clearly AWS is an important facilitator of that, making sure that we're able to leverage all of the training materials that are available.
And finally, Matt, what do you hope for in a collaboration with AWS?
Well, I guess first and foremost, just leveraging from the experience across multiple implementations over many years. And as you know, we've been lucky to get good access to Andy Jassy and some of the core team, as well as being able to chat to people like Charlie and get some of the experiences from the Amazon retail experience. And so, first and foremost, making sure that we're implementing in the right way. And we want to be pushed and challenged, have access to the best engineering talent, both domestically and if we need it, internationally. So that's a really important part for us, as we want to make sure that the implementation and the way that we're going about delivering and rolling out our workloads onto AWS absolutely reflect best practice. So we're serving up all the benefits that we're expecting and making sure that our people, our software engineers, have got access to all of the capabilities that the platform provides.
Well, thank you, Matt, for joining us and sharing those insights. We really do appreciate it. And we're excited about the long-standing collaboration we do have with Commonwealth Bank and look forward to a fantastic future together. Thank you again.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Today we've heard from many organisations using the cloud to transform and innovate at a rapid pace. Over the next 2 days, we have more than 90 breakout sessions delivered by AWS experts, AWS partners and customers. These sessions are designed to provide practical tips and best practices to help you innovate quickly at scale. Our AWS Deep Racer sessions will provide guidance to help you create, train and tune your machine learning reinforcement model. There are hands-on labs, jams, training and certification opportunities, as well as the community and partner zones with educational content. So whether you are just getting started or a certified expert, you'll find many opportunities to boost your knowledge and skills. If at any time today you need help with a project or have questions, you can interact with one of our AWS experts and have your questions answered by clicking the chat button. I hope you enjoy your time today, learn something new, and we look forward to your feedback. Have a great day.